Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 14 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S20 and see which specific phone is the better one for you. Now, this is kind of a random comparison, but the Galaxy S20 was so ahead of its time in so many different ways, and I'm honestly so happy to kind of compare these two devices. If you want to pick up either one of them, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely tell there are some differences, but you probably wouldn't be able to tell that the Galaxy S20 came out back in 2020 because it looks so future-proofed. I mean, this phone has a beautiful display on the front. It's a 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and it looks very good. It's a 120Hz panel too, and it is a really smooth 120Hz panel. I'm actually kind of surprised. 1440p screen as well, and it looks way better than I would ever imagine. Like, still, it looks beautiful. So this is definitely one of my favorite phones. Curved sides, hole punch. It looks so beautiful. Definitely a really good looking phone for sure. On the iPhone 14, 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now, it's not that this is a bad panel. It's just a little bit dated even compared to the Galaxy S20 that came out over 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago if you really think about it, in like 2-3 months. This thing has a notch up top, so not a big deal, but one of those things to remember. 60Hz display. When you think about it, this phone definitely doesn't seem like the most up-to-date panel. It definitely doesn't look that great. I mean, it's not bad. It definitely gets bright. I would probably say it's probably brighter than the Galaxy S20's panel, but I definitely do think Samsung back in 2020 did a better job on this display than they probably did on the Galaxy S, that they did on the iPhone 14, at least from Apple's side. Now, in terms of the rest of the body, we have volume buttons, a little bit of a flat side on the iPhone 14, which looks great. The Galaxy S20, on the other hand, has kind of like this curved side, which feels fine. That's kind of what we had on a lot of phones at the time. But it's crazy because we have a USB-C port on the Galaxy S20, and we also have a Lightning port on the iPhone 14, but we have a microSD card slot on the Galaxy S20, which is crazy. So the fact that we have that type of capability is awesome, and I love having those types of features. Now, the Galaxy S20 by far had one of the ugliest backs of a phone from 2020. I don't know what Samsung was thinking. They made such a beautiful phone on the front, but they totally forgot about it on the back. Triple camera setup on the top left here, the S20, iPhone 14 dual camera setup, glass backs on both. So glass backs feel very premium and a much more premium feeling than the other phones, which is always a good sign to have. On top of that, as always, we do have wireless charging on both. We have reverse wireless charging on the Samsung Galaxy S20, which is awesome. You also have Samsung DeX support on the USB-C port down here, which is amazing. It's like a desktop type of experience. So that's another really cool thing that Samsung did there. And honestly, when I kind of look at the outside of both these phones, I definitely do think the Samsung S20 still has more flagship features. 120Hz, 1440p panel, hole punch display, reverse wireless charging, the triple camera side. But like, this phone, I would definitely argue is more of a flagship. Although the iPhone 14 is probably going to be the faster phone, and it's probably going to give you a longer lasting phone on there too, for sure. But it's still pretty insane to me how well of a phone the Samsung Galaxy S20 is, or how good of a phone the S20 is still, which is so awesome. Now, that kind of covers it up in that specific standpoint. Now, in the software and longevity standpoint, this is another very interesting thing. So, the thing is, the S20 came out in early 2020. This thing, I think, is getting like an extra year of software support on top of what it normally would get. So, I think it's probably going to end off on One UI 5, considering the S10 ended off, One UI 4. This one may get One UI 5. It may get One UI 6 if Samsung changes some things again. I'm not holding my breath. I think it's honestly like 50-50 as at this point, but probably more so that this phone is going to be unsupported in a very short amount of time. So take it as you will, but definitely the iPhone 14 is definitely one of its bigger advantages in that standpoint. Now let's go into a speed comparison between them. The Galaxy S20 has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset inside of it with 8GB of RAM, where the iPhone 14 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6GB of RAM. So let's go see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. Hopping all the apps in the background, you can see this one's cleared out and this one's not cleared out. So let's get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, and there we go. Hopping out of this one. Let's get into their cameras. 3, 2, 1. Okay, a little different on both, but I think the iPhone 14 won. Let's go and take a photo. Perfect. Let's go and open up that photo. Totally messed it up there. So let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. So the S20 won there. I think it's because I opened it up earlier, so that's probably one thing to keep in mind. So scrolling through, I definitely can notice the 120Hz in the S20, but the iPhone 14 is still doing a very, very good job at scrolling through there as well. So that's probably one thing to keep in mind. Hopping out of both those applications, we can start getting into some of these third-party ones. So Facebook, 3, 2, 1. the iPhone 14 slightly faster. Fruit Ninja, which I don't even have. Let's do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so they both had the downloading content thing at the bottom, and they almost got into it at the exact same time, which is very interesting. I don't know which one was faster. They both were like neck and neck, so I probably wouldn't say one was way faster than the other one. Let's try Instagram 3, 2, 1. Although I am logged into an account here, so we'll just kind of log out of this one. Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. Almost identical, but I think the S20 was faster there. It needed some gameplay. Let's see if there's a difference, and it doesn't really look like there is. But the S20 was a little tiny bit faster there. Stack 3, 2, 1. Okay, little pop-up there. Kind of an issue. We'll just go and kind of let this one slide as well. Let's go and get into Netflix. 3, 2, 1. Totally mess one up as well. So we got into another pop-up there. I don't know why there's so many pop-ups on these types of phones. And that kind of covers up a majority of the applications that I had. We can try some of the stock ones, maybe like some of the file applications. We can do files. 3. I don't even know where this one is. There we go. 3, 2, 1. I think the S20 was slightly faster, to be honest. But overall, what I can definitely tell you is both these phones are very fast. I think the iPhone 14 is the smoother, faster one overall. But the Galaxy S20 did a really good job in this specific case too. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, another very interesting thing. So like I said before, the Galaxy S20 triple camera setup, the iPhone 14 has a dual camera setup, and overall I'll definitely tell you both these phones have great cameras. 4K at 60 on the front and the back, but the Galaxy S20 can do 8K on the back of this phone, which is crazy. It's kind of overkill, but it's still a really, really nice feature to have. It future-proofs this phone like crazy. Now with the Galaxy S20, this phone, camera-wise, I would say is still pretty good. I mean, it's like a very good camera. You have 0.5x zoom. You have 30x zoom, which a lot of it is digital, but it's still really crazy we have that type of feature set here. We have the standard zooming in, zooming out capability, but this phone, as I mentioned before, has so many features built in. You have the single take video mode. Under this more option, you have so many modes built in, it's not even funny. You have hyperlapse, you have pro video, super slow, slow motion, panorama, night mode, pro mode here too, which is crazy. You have tons of features built in here, which is amazing. Now the iPhone 14, I would probably argue that the quality of this camera is probably better than the Galaxy S20 right now. I've compared these phones, well, I've used the iPhone 14 now for about 2 months or a month now. Galaxy S20 I've been using for a little bit of time. You have 5x zoom, you have 0.5x zoom, so right there automatically is a pretty big difference, I'm not going to lie. But you can always kind of configure it a little bit later, you can always move closer to a subject. You have video mode with action mode up here, which is nice. You have cinematic mode, which is really cool. You have slow mode, you have tons of things as well. Like there's definitely like lots of features, portrait mode as well. But I will probably tell you when it comes down to it, the Galaxy S20, for it being older, it's surprising how good that camera is for sure. But I will say when it comes down to it, the iPhone 14's camera, may look better in terms of some photos, but the Galaxy S20 still to this day has more features, which is amazing. So now to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, what I'll tell you is the Galaxy S20 I think is surprising, but the iPhone 14 I would still argue is probably the better phone. You're going to be getting better battery life, a longer lasting phone here too, and it's probably going to be the one that makes the most sense for a majority of people to buy. But the Galaxy S20, I would say for its price, not even for the price, like this is still a flagship phone. If you told me that this phone is going to be getting another 4 years of software updates, I would recommend everyone to buy a phone like this one. You're still getting pretty decent battery life, reverse wireless charging, really decent build quality still, and a phone that's like still like a super flagship. Like it's gonna be crazy when these phones are unsupported because the hardware is just so amazing. Like it just doesn't make any sense how this phone could not be supported the way it looks. 120 hertz display, whole punch display, like everything is going good with this phone. So that's kind of how I see it for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.